Thank you, Pratisha. Let's proceed towards our second presentation. The second seminar is based on data types, variables, and array in Java, which is being presented by Team Microsoft with team members Anshumali Pandey, Pratisha Adak, including me. So the first question arises, what is Java? Java is a multi-platform, object-oriented, widely used programming language. The rules and syntax of Java are based on C and C++ languages. Java was first released in 1995 and is widely used for developing applications for desktop, web, and mobile devices. Keeping it as our basic knowledge, let's proceed towards our seminar. So, variables. Variables are the data containers that save the data values during Java program execution. As Java is a statically typed programming language, all variables must be declared before it's used. That's why we need to declare variable type and name. Syntax of variable. Here, int age equals to 20. Int is the data type, age is the variable, and 20 is the value which is being assigned to the variable age. Proceeding forward, rules of variables. A variable name can consist of capital letters A to Z, lowercase letters A to Z, digits 0 to 9, and two special characters such as underscore and dollar sign. But the character must not be a digit. Blank spaces and Java keywords cannot be used in variable names. Variable names are case sensitive. Variable names always should exist on the left-hand side of assignment operators. There are three types of variables: local variable, instance variable, and static variable. Let's see one by one. Local variable. These variables are defined within a block or method or constructor. These variables are created when the block is entered or the function is called, and destroyed after exiting from the block or when the call returns from the function. The scope of these variables exists only within the block in which the variables are declared. That is, they can access these variables only within that block. Let's see an example. Sorry. Here is the example. Here, int var equals to 10 is the example of local variable. The This variable exists to this main method only. If we try to print the var outside the method, it will show an error. Proceeding forward with instance variable. These variables are created in a class outside of any method. Block. These variables are created when an object of the class is created and destroyed when the object is destroyed. These variables can be accessed through objects. Let's see an example of it here. We can see that public string Greek is the variable, in instance variable, and when we want to access it, we will access it with the object name.greek, name.I. Here name is the object which is being created. The next is static variable. The static variable are those variables that are common to all the instances of the class. Only a single copy of the static variable is created and shared among all the instances of the class. Because it is a class level variable, memory allocation of such variables only happens when the class is loaded in the memory. Let's see an example of it. So here the example: static variable, static int counter country. Static is the keyword which is being used along with the variable name. When we want to access it, we can access it with the class name. For example, here we have xc count country dot country counter. So the next slide, data types in Java. In Java, data types play a crucial role in defining the kind of information that can be stored and manipulated. The data type is a classification of data which specify how memory stores the value of the variable. Each variable has a data type that decides the value the variable will hold. They are of different sizes and values that can be stored in the variable that is made as per the convenience and circumstances to cover up all the test cases. Java has two categories in which data types are segregated: primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Primitive data types. Primitive data types are defined by the language and is named by the reserved keyword. They are a set of basic data types from which all the other data types are constructed. They are of 8 types: int, float, char, short, long, byte, double, and boolean. Let's proceed. So, Boolean. Boolean data type represent only one bit of information, either true or false, which is intended to represent the two truth values of logic and Boolean algebra. That is, in simple words, we may say that Boolean data types can store either true or false. They are used to check whether two values are equal or not, basically in conditional statements to return true or false. The default value of Boolean is false. Char. The char data type stores a single character. It stores lowercase and uppercase characters, which must be enclosed in single quotes. It takes memory space of 16 bits or 2 bytes. The values stored range between 0 to 65536. Next is integer. Integer is used for storing integer values. Its size is 4 bytes and has a default value of 0. The maximum values of integer and the minimum value is specified. It can be used to store integer values unless there is a need for storing larger numbers or smaller numbers than the limit. Short, this data type is also similar to the integer data type. However, it's 2 times smaller than the integer data type. Long, this data type primarily stores huge size numeric data. It is a 16-bit integer and ranges byte. It's an 8-bit signed to complement. The range of values are specified. It is space efficient because it is smaller than the integer data type. The next is float. Float is used for storing decimal values. Its default value is 0 and the size of 8 bytes. However, it's always advised to use float in place of double data type. It is similar to float data type. However, it has one advantage over float data type, that is, it has 2-bit precision over the float data type, which has 1-bit precision. The next is non-primitive data type in Java. Non-primitive data type or references data type refer to instance or object. They cannot store the values of a variable directly in the memory. They store a memory address of the variable. Unlike primitive data types we define by Java, non-primitive data types are user-defined. Default values of any references variable is null. There are 5 types of non-primitive data types, that is class, object, string, array, and interfaces. Class. A class is a user-defined data type from which objects are created. It describes the set of properties or methods common to all the objects of same data type. The two types of classes There are 2 types of classes, a blueprint and a template. For instance, the architecture diagram of a building is a class and the building itself is an object. The next is interface. An interface is similar to the class. However, the only difference is that its methods are abstract by default. That is, they have no body. We only use to declare it. An interface has only the final variables and the method's declaration. String. A string represents a sequence of characters, for example, Java point, which is being declared with inverted commas. String is a class of Java. Next is array. An array is a data type which can store multiple homogeneous variable of same type in a sequence. They are followed in an index manner, starting with index 0. The variable can be either primitive or non-primitive data types. The next, here we can see that the memory address is allocated with array names and indices starts with 0. Now there are 2 types of array, one-dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. One-dimensional array is a kind of linear array. It involves a single subscripting The brackets is used for subscript of the array and to declare and access the elements from the array. Multidimensional array. Multidimensional array are of two types: two-dimensional array and three-dimensional array. Two-dimensional array. An array involving two subscripts is known as two-dimensional array. They are also known as array of the array. Two-dimensional array are divided into rows and columns and are able to handle the data of the table. Next is three-dimensional array. A three-dimensional array contains three dimensions. When we require to create two or more tables of the element to declare the array element, then in such situations we use three-dimensional array. Conclusion of the seminar. Java, which is the basic knowledge for all our seminar topic. Java is a multi-platform, object-oriented, widely used programming language for coding web applications. Variables are the data containers that save the data values during program execution. They are of three types: local variable, instance variable, and static variable. Data types is the classification of data which specify how memory stores the values of the variable. It is of two types: primitive and non-primitive. And the third topic, array, is a non-primitive data type which can store multiple homogeneous variables, that is variable of same type in the sequence. They are stored in an index manner starting with index 0. So anyone having any query?
Okay, thank you for presenting the seminar, Ankita. At first, I'd like to ask audience any questions.